The time has arrived. It is time to make predictions. UCF, Baylor. Who's going to win? You guys already know the answer.
You are Locked On UCF, your daily podcast on the UCF Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on in to Locked On UCF, your daily UCF podcast. I'm your host, Mike G. Thank you so much for making Locked On UCF your first listen of every day. Turn us on, turn us up, we'll turn it out. I'm here with my good friend, James Duncan, UCF sports commentator extraordinaire, to talk a little UCF football today. On today's show, we're going to talk about Taven Jackson and the big day that I think that he'll have. Hopefully, James thinks he's going to have a big day as well, too. We're also going to talk about that running game. Miles, Jaden, I think they could be the key to this one. So we'll see. And then, as always, on Friday, we're going to make our predictions on who's going to win and what we think the score is going to be. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Mazda. Mazda crafts cars that last, move and be moved. Mazda. James, let's jump into our conversation here. Taven Jackson will start on Saturday. I'm super excited. Now, we did our show where we talked about who's in and who's out. So I just remind people for UCF, Cam Fancher out, Caden Peening out, Stacey Gage out. He had surgery. Jaden Williams has been out for a while. Troy Ford Jr. joins the list of guys who are out. So UCF will be without Cam Fancher. I thought that Taven Jackson acquitted himself well versus West Virginia. So now it's time to make that carry over here. This is an explosive Baylor offense at times, but they lack a run game and maybe some fundamental pieces to be able to close games. You know, what do you think about Taven Jackson having a big day here? We're going to play the over-under game. I'm going over 250 yards for Taven Jackson on Saturday.
All purpose or in the air?
In the air. I think he throws for over 250.
Whoa. You know what? I think that's bold, Mike, only for the reason that I think that Jaden and Miles are going to put in so much work on the ground that I don't think it's going to need to be done. I see him getting up there. I'm going to take the under on 250.
Under on 250? Right.
I'm going to take the under on 250, but I'll get you over on, like, give me 200. Like, I'll give you over on 200. I'll say he probably lands somewhere in the 215, 205 area. I think he's going to have a big game, but I think he's going to have a big game in the game manager style versus being a gunslinger. I think you've got a gunslinger on one side of the field. I don't want to go gunslinger for gunslinger. I all love to Taven Jackson. I think he's a great player. I don't think if it's gunslinger versus gunslinger that he wins that battle against the number one passer in the country. But I think because he has so many tools and because he has guys in the backfield, and hopefully he's going to have a little bit of push from his O-line this game, you got to hope. I think he gets it done over there in Waco.
Baylor plays desperation offense. I mean, if you've watched them this year, man, every pass, it feels like they're trying to score 21 points on one throw.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best way I could describe their offense. And it's very boom or bust. They got no running game. But on the other side, why I'm going over 250, I think it's about the big plays downfield that I see UCF making in this game. Baylor gives up 212 yards per game through the air. So, you know, that's middle of the pack in the Big 12. On the ground, they're the second worst rush defense in the league, giving up 190.5 yards per game. I just don't think their defense is very good. I don't think they're going to be able to limit UCF passing or UCF running the ball. And it's really going to come down to whether or not that UCF defense can do what they've done all year, man. This is a salty UCF defense, giving up only 17.1 points per game. They laughed at me when I said I liked the Alex Grinch hire, and they voted UCF like the second worst team in the league coming in, and I was like, guys, 4-8. I get it; they were 4-8 last year, but you have to look deeper at what this team is. Now, you went out and you got quarterbacks. And I love what I'm seeing from Cam Fancher and Taven Jackson. These guys are actually developing under Scott Frost and McKenzie Milton. That cannot be denied. I think both of them are becoming better versions of themselves, at UCF. However, you need more than that. So they went out and they got wide receivers that Scott Frost praised more than any other position group. He singled them out and said, I like the way these receivers are making plays. I think that has panned out at times for UCF. So I just don't see Baylor being able to stop the big play from UCF in this one. Sawyer Robertson is going to make throws. I like what you said. Like, I don't know if I want to go QB for QB in this one, but if he passes for like 260, 70 yards, that's not like, he's not going to do what Sawyer Robertson is doing. Like Sawyer's taking like 35 to 50 attempts a game on average, man. Like we don't need Taven to throw the ball that much. We just need him to find the open receivers downfield when they're open, make the big play when it's there, and do not turn the ball over. And I think UCF's pretty good in this one.
Yeah, no, I would tend to agree. I think Taven is going to have a great day, but like I said, I think it's going to be in more of a game manager style. I think you might not look at the stats after this game and go, that was the better quarterback or that guy played the better game. But if you go and you look at the film, which Taven's film is actually pretty solid. He has not lost a game for UCF that he has played from start to finish. That is a real stat. All right. And I don't think that stat changes after Saturday. I really don't. I think if he stays out there the entire game, that UCF has a very good chance of winning this football game. Are there things that can go awry? Absolutely. Do I 100% think that this team is going to walk out with a dub? No. I think that they have a really, really, really good chance if Taven plays that full game. And I think that is because there is a certain level of balance that Taven provides. And there's a certain level of confidence that Taven provides in this offense, where it is less chicken running around with their head cut off and more of a concise decision on making reads, doing RPOs. There is a very clear decision-making system that Taven has. And I think the team feels more comfortable with that than they do someone that, hey, they might be able to make a couple magical plays here and there, but it's not getting the job done.
Yeah, look, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be it's going to be interesting to watch these two offenses, right? Like, can the Baylor offense move the ball effectively in the red zone against this UCF defense? So it's not just about, they can move the ball great between the 20s, I think, on UCF, but once you get down there, this defense has been really, really salty and just not letting people in the end zone. And it's kept them in most of the games that they played this year. So I'm just looking for UCF to continue what they've been doing on defense. Offensively, it's been a little more up and down, but I feel like they're finding their stride now. And so if they found their stride late in the season, and I see we've got a few people live here with us, let us know what you think, right? Do you feel like UCF has been progressing as the season's gone along? I feel like they've been getting better week to week, a few ups and downs. I think they got a reality check versus Kansas State. But, I mean, it's year one in what we all agree is a rebuild. And look, man, I love the fight that I'm seeing from the team. They don't quit. They're going to give you hell for 60 minutes. And, if it's not good enough to win the game, so be it. But I think that we're at a point in the season where it starts to really come together for UCF, while Baylor seems to be moving backwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, honestly, if you were a casual fan, or even honestly just like UCF fans, guys, I know, like, I'm pretty pessimistic about our team all the time. I totally understand. If you asked any typical viewer and they said, who do you think has the more high-powered offense? I think every single one would say Baylor by far.
Yeah.
And then you go and you look
at the numbers.
If you go and you look at the numbers, Baylor is only ranked in terms of yards per game and points per game about 4 or 5 teams higher than your UCF Knights. All right. And UCF's defense is ranked top 16 in the country, while Baylor's is far, far, far below that. I think you're looking at a much more balanced UCF team with a top 30 offense and a top 16 defense. And you're looking at a top 25 offense from Baylor and a not so top, 50 offense from Baylor or defense from Baylor.
Yeah.
I think you're seeing two very imbalanced teams play each other, with UCF actually being the more balanced one. I know typically you don't hear that, but
Yeah.
it's something that is going to be definitely tested this game, because you haven't played a high passing volume team this year, with or at least just that has the insane volume that Baylor does. But I think it's going to be a very offense defense heavy matchup in terms of Baylor offense, UCF defense.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be that way. And I think the defense sees a lot of time on the field if UCF is playing phenomenally, because UCF can have these 2-3 minute drives where they're getting Miles and Jaden the ball and they take off for 70 yards. It can happen. The explosivity potential is there. So I'm very interested to see what will happen.
Yeah, it's a lot. Baylor and Cincinnati played this past weekend. Baylor had the ball a mere 24 minutes in that game to 35 minutes. Cincinnati held the ball for a offense that thrives on, essentially volume, to be effective. This could be I think this is a really bad matchup for Baylor at the wrong time. We saw when UCF went to Cincinnati to play the same way Baylor did, they held the ball for 40 minutes in that game. 40 minutes to only 20 for Cincinnati. But it was again, when you're bad in the red zone, you're still trying to figure some things out. These kind of things happen to you. But I still see the development there. I think that UCF is trending up right now. I think that Baylor is trending down, and they're talking about firing Aranda in Baylor land right now. Before we move on, get to our break and then move on to our next subject, I do, for accuracy's sake, I just want to make sure everybody understands in terms of total offense, yards per game. UCF ranked 4th in the conference in the Big 12 right now. Baylor ranked 3rd. They're ahead of UCF by about 14 yards. However, UCF is one of 2 teams in the Big 12 that have only played 7 games to date, and Baylor has played 8 games. So, that number is skewed by a game right now because of bye weeks. UCF, I think, has already gone through 2 bye weeks, and Baylor, I think, has only gone through 1. So, at the end of the season, you may be looking at a UCF offense that is ranked ahead of Baylor in almost every meaningful category. I'm just saying. So, we'll see how it ends up. We're going to get to our break here, James. And when we come back, we're going to talk about that UCF run game and what we think they'll do on Saturday. Lots of talk of Taven Jackson, but Miles Montgomery and Jaden Nixon I promise to steal the show on Saturday. We'll talk about that next on Locked On UCF. This episode of Locked On UCF is brought to you by our friends at Mazda, guys. Mazda crafts cars that move you forward the same way UCF is trying to move the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than just put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, and they keep the game moving forward. Look, when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. James, the UCF run game, I think, dominates this one. Before Baylor played Auburn earlier in the season, I was told by people who cover Baylor that Auburn wasn't going to be able to run the ball and UCF was going to control the game on the ground. And, Auburn's running backs were crap and UCF had the reincarnation of Barry Sanders or something at running back. I don't think I need to tell you that didn't work out that way. As a matter of fact, the exact opposite happened when these two teams met. They gave up 308 yards on the ground, and Auburn ran on them at will. And mind you, this is a team in coaching crisis right now. They're talking about firing Hugh Freeze on the Plains, and he ran all over Baylor. I think Miles and Jaden are going to have a good day. I've thought about this matchup for 7 weeks straight. For 49 days and 49 nights, I have gone to sleep and I woke up, James, and I've thought about UCF running the ball down Baylor's throat because they're soft as two-ply toilet paper and they can't stop anybody on the ground. They're the second worst run defense in the league, and they are outside the top 100 in the FBS. They're terrible. You have to commit to the run. I know Scott Frost doesn't watch this show, but in the case somebody shows it to him, run the ball on these guys. Do not, if you have a couple of failed drives, don't start running the ball. I promise you, these dudes will break. And I think that it's Miles that has the bigger day in this one. We did over-under for Taven, so I'm going to do an over-under for whoever you think is going to have the big day. I think it's Miles. I'm going over-under 120 yards on the ground, and I'm picking the over. I think he goes bananas in this game.
I saw when you picked this topic, I had this thought in my brain, Mike. And I knew that I was gonna do this once we got to this segment, but I was just waiting to drop the bomb.
Okay, all right.
I think they're both gonna have 100+ yards.
Oh, yeah, all right. Okay, I love that.
I think they're both gonna have 100+. Because here's the thing: with what Jaden is averaging, if you give him the ball, I think 8 times, he will have 100 yards. I think he's averaging 12.7.
I'm going to tell you right now. Jaden Nixon, 32 carries, 405 yards, 12.7 yards per carry.
Okay, so you need to hand in the ball 8 times to get 100 yards. That's nearly, maybe 9.
Yeah, he could get 100 yards in single digits, right? Yeah, okay. But he's primed to break the big one, and he's got good top end speed, and he can break out on you.
Exactly. I mean, he could get 100 yards in 4 carries. I mean, that's the way that Jaden works. Jaden is like, he'll if he gets to the outside, your defense is fried. It doesn't matter. Like he will find a way. And I think with the amount that they will give Miles this game, because here's the thing, you know who I would love to see in this game? Aljamain Addy. Because if we see Aljamain Addy, that means that we are frying Baylor. If he gets carries this game, that means that we will be kicking butt so bad that we will have given it to our RB3. And I do think there is the potential for that to happen. I think that Miles will have probably 110 yards on, give me 15 maybe 20 carries.
He's averaging 5.2 yards per carry so far.
Yeah, and I think those averages will probably stay the same, which, by the way, people have talked down on Miles' performances this year and saying, oh, well, he's not going anywhere with this or he's not going anywhere with that. He has 5.2 yards a carry. That means every single time he touches the ball, he is halfway to getting you a first down. That is not a normal number. I mean, I know UCF fans were completely like battered up last year with having the god that is RJ Harvey, who was averaging like 6.7 yards a carry, but like that's not normal either. So having a running back that's getting you 5.2 yards a carry is not normal. That's actually fantastic. And so you need to be taking advantage of the fact that you have 2 elite running backs in your backfield and use them to the best of that you can. Because using Jaden as a change of pace back, I'm totally fine with, because he is the change of pace. He will get you those big boom plays. But Miles is the guy that is going to work and work and work and work, and he is your workhorse back. So I think both of them are primed for a big day. I think if you put Ja'Curry in the game, I think he's probably gonna, on some designed run plays, I think he'll probably have 30 to 40 plus rush yards. I think UCF goes no doubt over 250 on the ground in this game, and I would bet the house on it.
All right, so you got both going over, but who has the better day in total yardage?
You're gonna make me make this decision.
Yeah.
I was trying to get a cop out and see if I could get both of them.
No. This is a pregame show. We need hard, solid takes that we can hold you to.
I think Miles will have the better day.
Okay.
I think Miles will have the better day, and I'd like to see him get in the end zone more than once.
All right.
He has only gotten into the end zone 3 times this year, and I think that for having 522 yards, that's unacceptable. I think that, and I don't think it's fault at all. I really don't. I just think that once we've gotten in the not succeeded, I don't think that it's Miles' fault at all that he's only gotten in the end zone 3 times. I think when we've gotten in those situations, he just has not been put in situations where he can succeed. So I hope that he will get in the end zone more than once this game.
Yeah, look, Jaden has 6 touchdowns on the season, albeit only a third of the carries that Miles has gotten so far this season. Again, only 32 carries so far this season for Jaden Nixon, 100. Now, they have been using these guys in the passing game as well, too. So Miles has 12 receptions on the season. Jaden has 10. Both guys in double-digit receptions. These are 2 very good pass-catching backs, James. And so what? Like, I mean, I'd be willing to extend that over under to total yardage because they're such good pass catchers. You know, we've seen Jaden and Miles take screen passes nearly to the house or totally to the house. UCF is so underrated here, man. Like when you have a losing culture, like what Gus had, let's just call it what it is. UCF had a losing culture under Gus. They had a soft mindset, and you know, we got UCF fans got Gus bust, man. You guys have heard me say this before. I think that UCF fans died a slow death under Gus Malzahn, and I am happy to see that Scott Frost has changed the culture mentally down in Orlando. When I tell you these guys are so bought into the system and the way of doing things, and you know the excellence in every rep and every practice that they are preaching, the staff is preaching, these kids have bought into it. And the results are you're going to see everybody get better as the season goes along. I told Andrew Glukov, he's our senior writer over at UCFKnightZone.com. I told him before the draft that I thought that RJ Harvey was a first-round talent and a potential second-round draft pick. I knew he wouldn't go in the first round, but I thought he had first-round talent. I got laughed at. James, I got laughed at. Not by Andrew, but he disagreed. He definitely disagreed on RJ Harvey being a first-round talent. Thought he was like a 4th or 5th round pick. And lo and behold, what did the Broncos go out and do? They took him in the 2nd round. I don't know if you've seen the UCF creative media team, best in the business, by the way. Holy, this is locked on, so I got temper the curse words. But man, they put together a fire video of him taking, like, you know, it started at UCF and then it went to his 40-yard dash time at the draft and then to him just housing one, you know, in the NFL for the Broncos. This guy is good. Gus wasted him. 6.8 yards per carry, man, is disgusting. Like when I say it, it just feels like I ate something bad. It's just disgusting. He's so disgustingly good. And they wasted him. And Scott Frost is not going to let, this is Miles' last year, I think. And he's not going to waste his running backs. Now, he said some really good things about Miles Montgomery in the preseason. I think it's panned out. Look, man, 5.2 yards per carry. If this offensive line was a little better, I think we see maybe closer to 6 yards per carry for Miles. But he's doing the thing, man, right now. So I love what I'm seeing from this run game. And this is where I think UCF has a big advantage on Baylor. Hear me out. It's Sawyer Robertson or nothing for them. And Taven Jackson does not have to save the day for UCF. He needs to manage the game, and he needs to not protect the football, not turn the ball over. But he's got a run game he can lean on and trust. You know, and Baylor doesn't have that.
I 100% agree. I mean, I think that if you limit and or if Sawyer Robertson gets taken out of the game for any sort of reason, this game isn't close.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the case with UCF. You have so much that you can lean on. Like I actually genuinely think that you could put Ja'Curry in the backfield and you could still win this game. If it was Ja'Curry versus the backup at Baylor, I think you could win this game. Yeah. And I think you win it on the ground. And I don't know. I just genuinely think that this rushing attack is just so lethal And I don't think you've gotten a full chance to see it on a defense that's weak enough for it. And I'm just really hoping that they just tear it up. They just tear up a weak Baylor defense. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, look, Baylor, a team in crisis right now. They're talking about firing Aranda. This season just isn't what Baylor fans, Baylor players thought it was going to be for them. And if you're UCF, this season is already better than 90% of UCF fans thought it was going to be. Honestly, I don't think they expected to see a defense this good. I think that they didn't expect to see a run game this good, minus RJ Harvey. There were just a lot of positive things going on here for UCF in just what is year one. That's it. It's just year one. At this point in the season, as I mentioned, Baylor has played 8 games. They are 4-4. If they lose this game, they might not make a bowl game. Hear me out. They lose, they may not make a bowl game. They've got Utah, they're at Arizona and Houston to finish after UCF. And I've said this before too, if UCF wins this game, I'm calling 8-4. I think this springboards them forward, and we're all sitting here really, really hyped about 2026.
I don't know if you're gonna get a lot of people on that 8-4 trade, but Mike, I have to believe you when you say it because you say it with confidence. I don't know. I think if UCF walks out of Waco with a win here, and I really do think they will, you're 5-3. I think that makes you one of the actual, I don't think it makes you an elite team in the conference, but I think it makes you one of the better teams in the conference. It certainly makes you a lot better than people thought you'd be. I think it puts you in, the drivers or guaranteed seat for a bowl game. UCF really has to just take advantage of this game. I think UCF is certainly on the climb in terms of their potential for what they could be. Good teams get better over the season. It doesn't happen with every team. Some teams get worse. I think if your team gets better over the course of a season, then you're doing something right. And I think this UCF team is. I think if you walk out of Waco 5-3, your team's gotten better and you can be happy about it. You can ensure yourself that you'll get a bowl game.
Yeah, look, UCF's going bowling. I don't worry about them making a bowl game. They're going bowling. But look, we got to make predictions for this game. You could probably tell what we're going to predict from our tone all week. But we're going to get our predictions out here on the show next on Locked On UCF. This episode of Locked On UCF is brought to you by our friends at DoorDash, guys. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP. Who delivered? Powered by DoorDash. Well, the game hasn't happened yet, but who is going to deliver? It's going to be Miles Montgomery. Guys, I think he goes nuts on Saturdays, just like you can go nuts every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. Our UCF Player of the Week that's going to deliver in a big way, as I mentioned, is Miles Montgomery. Marcus Burke is out, but look out for DJ Black as well, too. I think he has the day that we all hope UCF has at receiver, and it's going to go well for them. So just like DJ Black and Miles Montgomery are going to deliver, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every time you order, stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. This episode of Locked On UCF is brought to you in part by our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game and want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. I love my 9-leg parlays, guys. Just missed winning $20,000 a couple times. But look, it keeps the game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com and sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official betting partner of the NBA. Time to make predictions. We are going on the record. I didn't have it in me to call for the upset at Cincinnati. Now, I will admit though, that game did not go at all the way I thought it was going to go, losing 20-11. But I did not think that UCF. I thought Cincinnati was a bad matchup. In the subsequent week against West Virginia, even though UCF has not beaten West Virginia ever in history, that last Saturday was going to be the day that they got it done. They absolutely got it done versus West Virginia. I think they get it done against Baylor, and I like the Knights 35-17. Go UCF.
I like it. I like it. You know, I talked about how I didn't want this game to be a shootout. And I think that Baylor's going to get more than you think. I think Baylor's going to get 24. I think give me 3 touchdowns and a field goal.
Fair enough.
But I think your Knights are going to end with 38. I think they're going to drop 38 points on the Baylor.
38-24 is what you're calling?
38-24.
Okay, all right. I mean, that was the score of the Auburn game, was 38-24. So, bold call. I called that game 38-21. I think that UCF's defense does better against Sawyer Robertson than Auburn's defense did. I think they get to him more often. I think they put him on his ass, James. So
I would love that.
Yeah, that's why I'm only giving them 17 in this one.
But I also think that, you know, so I saw the stat that I really liked with UCF's defense that I think will kind of really be put to the test this week, and that is that UCF's defense is one of the top 10 or 15 teams in the country in terms of late down defense. So anything on 3rd and 4th down, they've been really good at. But UCF is historically known for getting points dropped on them late in games. And, you know, you didn't see that in Cincinnati because you held them to 3 points, but you saw it in Kansas. You saw it in Baylor. However, you know, 2 years ago, you saw it in Kansas State, that both times that we played them. You know, these games can, you know, when your defense is out there, they get tired in the 4th quarter. But I do think the defense, and, you know, I think I want to ask you this. What's your turnover? How many turnovers you think we're getting, Mike? Because I'm looking at this comment right now, and that turnover, that's where I got my turnovers too.
Okay. All right. So just to recap for everybody, if you jumped in late, I am predicting 35-17 UCF. James is going 38-24 UCF. Last week versus Cincinnati, Baylor had 2 turnovers. They had 2 fumbles that were both recovered by Cincinnati. And Cincinnati didn't have 1 turnover in that game. They also scored 7 points off turnovers, did Cincinnati. I'm going to go. I think that UCF gets 3 turnovers in this game.
Whoa. Is that 1 in the air, 2 on the ground, or 2 in the air and 1 on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so let me explain my reasoning, because again, you gotta remember, this is a team that I followed very, very closely. You know, for those of you who follow me on social media, you know that this isn't the only team that I cover. So, you know, the advantage to that is whoever both these teams play, I'm looking at constantly. And so I've been looking at Baylor since week 1, and I got a chance to dig in to their numbers there. And when you look at Sawyer Robertson, like I said, he is a phenomenal, like he is a big play waiting to happen. And this could be a result of their defense. I mean, their offense kind of just being what it is. But he's got 2,500 passing yards on the year, which leads the nation. And he's got 23 touchdowns through the air, which is 2nd in the nation. However, he's thrown 7 interceptions. And I think that, like, based on, I think UCF is going to be uniquely positioned to pick off multiple passes in this game. So I'm going with 2 interceptions this game and 1 fumble recovery likely, but all on Sawyer Robertson. Those guys are going to get after him, man. I'm telling you, they're going to hit him. He's going to cough the ball up, and UCF is going to recover. I see that happening at least once. But when you watch their offense, I'm telling you, they play with a weird kind of desperation on offense where it feels like they're trying to score multiple times on a single play or drive, and then they're just, and when I say that, I mean, that's kind of an analogy. Obviously, you can't score more than once, but they get behind, and then they just start throwing it, and they can't run the ball. They have a terrible run game. I don't know, man. Like, I think Auburn has a really good defense. I think UCF's defense is just as, if not more, salty than Auburn's. And look what Auburn was able to do to them, man. They completely took them out of their element at home, and they beat them by 14 points.
Yeah, I mean, and Cincinnati was able to hold them pretty low too. And that, Cincinnati dropped 40 plus points on these guys. And
Sawyer's only 61%.
Yeah, you held Cincinnati to 20 points. I don't know. I think this game statistically and in all terms of matchup spells disaster for Baylor. I think most people wouldn't, if they just looked at this game and said Baylor versus UCF, I think they'd call Baylor. But I don't know, Mike. I'm just not seeing where that happens. I think you definitely get 2 turnovers at least.
Yeah. Listen, hear me out on this, James. So before, again, like opponents, right? So, and I'm only bringing up this game because I covered it and UCF's playing them now. But before the Auburn game, a lot of Baylor people got caught up in Auburn's record the year before, and they didn't look at what this Auburn defense has been for 3 years. They've been crazy good, top 25 good. And they'd be even better if the offense could stay on the field and they weren't losing time and possession every game. But they never had the horses to keep up with Auburn. Auburn was just heads and tails way more talented than Baylor was. UCF, I'm telling you, a lot of folks are getting too caught up in that 4-8 record last year. And they're not looking at the talent that exists and the guys they brought in. And I would say when you look at UCF's schedule so far, they really haven't had a big time matchup. Right? This was supposed to be one of those big time matchups, so Baylor didn't hold up their end of the bargain. Here, they're only 4-4 going into this game. But this was supposed to be a top 15 potential win for UCF. So
yeah,
I'm looking at, again, to me, Baylor has shown me who they are.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, you can follow the stats on this one. It tells the whole story about who Baylor is. I've seen it play out week after week there. Sawyer Robertson, incredibly talented, but only 61% passing. And they throw the ball in such a high volume because they're always playing from behind or playing with desperation. I mean, it's tough watching this. I mean, I'm not going to deny the kid's talent, James. I think he is extremely talented. However, I don't know, man. I just don't think it's going to be enough. I think when you are a one-dimensional football team, you are exponentially and fundamentally easier to defend against.
Absolutely.
They can't run the ball. Yeah. I don't see them doing much against UCF defensively.
No, I think UCF's defense is going to keep them in this game. And I don't think it has the potential to get out of hand unless it leans out of hand towards the UCF side. I think that UCF's defense has pretty much kept them in every game that they played this season. You really got to think about it, like only giving up 20 to Cincinnati, 27 to Kansas, and you were winning that game for a majority of the game. Barely any points to West Virginia and UNC. 13, these are all your power. These are all your Power 5 matchups. Like, so, it's really important to look at what UCF's defense has done and acknowledge the fact that they have done that against multiple Power 5 opponents this year, regardless of win or loss.
They've only given up 30 points once this season.
Yes.
That's it. They're going 30 points to Kansas State. 34 points. Everybody else, even in the losses, under 30. 27 to Kansas, 20 to Cincinnati. They held North Carolina to 9, North Carolina A&T to 7, Jacksonville State to 10, West Virginia to 13. I don't think it's going to be any. I haven't seen anything from Baylor offensively to suggest that this is a good matchup for them. Now, could they go crazy and have a crazy day and somehow play out of their sure. That is certainly a possibility. Yeah. But like I'm telling you, there's nothing in what I've seen on tape or statistically that says that that's likely to be the outcome of this game, even with it in Waco. Right now, the ESPN matchup predictor is only giving Baylor a 51.4% chance to win this game. They've been crazy accurate on UCF games so far this season. So 48.6 is what UCF's getting. The spread opened at 4.5. It is closed down since to 3.5.
And also that ESPN matchup predictor opened at like Baylor 60% and has since then moved. Yeah. So, I actually wouldn't be, I would be surprised simply because it's at home, but I wouldn't be surprised that if that game was played neutral site or at the bounce house, that UCF would be 60% favorites in this game.
Yeah. Look, exciting times here. Can't wait for this one this weekend. I think this is the coming out party for Scott Frost and his offensive staff here. A couple comments here I want to get to before we end the show here. UCF Black and Gold says 41-28 UCF. 14 points are by Baylor in the fourth quarter. Sawyer has more passing yards than Taven because Baylor will be playing from behind and UCF will put up 300-plus yards rushing, plus 2 interceptions by UCF. See, he gets it, the 2-interception train. I'm telling you, I think they do pick him off a couple times. And yeah, this comment nails it for me. They play from behind. They sling the ball around a lot. And there's no real commitment to the run there. I don't know. Our guy Isaiah Carry-On says the Knights are winning tomorrow, plain and simple. That's what he said. He also says this is a really good video, and we appreciate that as well, too. James, we're going to go on and get out of here. It's been a long show, but I'm excited about the game tomorrow. UCF kicks off at 12 noon Eastern. So make sure to tune into that one. What channel is the game on tomorrow?
ESPNU.
ESPNU tomorrow. So I hate to break it to you, but if you have YouTube TV, you're
out of luck.
You're out of luck. Get Hulu now. So, yeah, get something else because the game will not be. No ESPN channels will be on YouTube TV. It's a sad day. Tomorrow, they had some things going on there, but yeah, really, really sad. Again, like I said, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. James Duncan, UCF sports commentator, I want to thank you for joining me on today's show, guys. We'll be back at you with the post-game show tomorrow here live on Locked On UCF.